close to having COPD. I think it may have had a lot to do with the fact that I was a drummer for a living for over 35 years. I started playing when I was out in public when I was in high school with professional musicians who my father, he would sub me out if he wasn't available because that was his thing too. And so just check here. I'm going to monitor the feed too. But it was over 25 years of playing in smoky bars and clubs, and even like at a wedding or something. Back in the day, people smoked. It was just a banquet room full of smoke. Maybe that was it. I don't know. But I'm lucky COVID didn't hit my respiratory because I was close to COPD about 11 years ago. Okay, yeah, we're live. Okay, this is very cool. Well, I'll get started by saying welcome, folks. Catching a little of the pre-intro banter here, which actually is just me talking about stuff. We're episode 4 of the Neuro Bros Show with Russ Parker and myself. Both of us are NASM, National Academy of Sports Medicine personal trainers. We're both corrective exercise specialists, certified through National Academy of Sports Medicine. Russ lives with Parkinson's. He is his own test lab. I had did the master trainer program through NASM. Just means that actually doesn't mean that much, quite honestly. I'm honored to be associated there, but it doesn't make me special. I just know stuff. And then I also work for the Brookbush Institute for 3 years teaching, and no disrespect to NASM or any other entity out there, because they all have their great things. But I'll tell you, the Brookbush Institute, I taught the corrective exercise course there and the strength course there, live workshops all over the world. That is a highly elevated level of education, which is a great deal. If you go to Brent, BRENT, Brookbush, just like it sounds, .com, you can try it out, $20 for a month. And then it's $20 a month. You get all your certifications, education through him. If you get everything quit in 6 months, you spend $120 instead of like $2,000 or $3,000. I'm pushing that because the level of the depth of education there and research is just absolutely far beyond any that I know of in any other entity or certification out there. So again, it's never ill intent towards anyone. It's just a fact. It's
Brent's
really
the man.
Yeah, Brendan's the man. I mean,
he's my first fitness related mentor. I love his stuff.
Yeah, if you get into learning his corrective exercise, then you really know corrective exercise way better than through any other entity. So with that said, our topics today, so first of all, how you doing, Russ, my co-host? This show is Russ's idea, and I'm so glad you came up with it, because it's a nice way to reach people. And there it is. Let's stand back and kiss myself. Oh, so apparently you feel good.
Yeah, I was just letting the music speak for me.
That is great, man. Yeah. So we'll be under an hour today, or hour max. We'll be done by 11 a.m. And thanks for people on Facebook who are watching. By the way, if you're on Facebook watching, if you have questions, type them in the comments. Okay? Type them in the comments on this broadcast. And on Karl says topics sound really good today. Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, we're going to have fun with this today.
And if anybody has any suggestions for future things they want to discuss, even if it's, I'm having this problem, what can I do about it? Fire away.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So on Monday we were talking, well, I am having that COVID short-term memory problem. I know we talked about vision. I have something on vision I want to share before we start vision today. Vision is so relevant in relative to, let's say, how we function, how we move. And Russ, you were telling me, I've heard of this. I don't know much about it. It can be a part of pain we experience, or maybe help us to diminish pain through visual assessments resets. What do you know about that?
Oh, what I was saying, last show was that it's basically like a reactionary thing. If you're if you have deficiencies in your vision, like field of vision, being able to track things and so forth, basically the pain is coming from just your body kind of compensating. So, for instance, if you want to see something, if you're driving, you look and you looking, you want to see check your blind spot or whatever it might be. If your eyes can't do the tracking, you're gonna try like hell to move your neck so you could see. So that cumulatively could add up to stiffness and neck pain. And if you practice, for
Excuse
instance,
me.
if you practice moving your head from side to side and concentrate on moving your eyes first and then and let your head trail behind and try to move your eyes, put in more effort to look back as far as you can by moving your eyes first
Mhm.
and then let your head follow. If you train that, then you might have less cumulative strain, when you're trying to do those things. And there's a few other, there's one you could just do standing up. There's a few other exercises that you could do, like down on the ground, moving around, and again doing things with eye tracking and moving your head. Um,
Yeah, it's
and
interesting.
it's going to affect balance, your field of vision, and proprioception.
Closely tied in with vestibular, hence the figure eight walk, infinity walk. We're going to get to some demos soon, folks. I have something that I would like to share about vision, and it's really, really interesting. It's research, again, coming out of the Huberman lab at Stanford. Um, so there is a large percentage of people in general, but also people with Parkinson's, who experience sleep abnormalities, sleep issues, maybe having trouble getting to sleep or having trouble staying asleep, or you get up in the night, got to go to the bathroom, come back, can't get to sleep, whatever it is. So I want to just share something that's really been helpful for people that I know. I am very lucky. I have no problem sleeping. As a matter of fact, if somebody would pay me to sleep, I'd be rich because I'm so good at it. I know I'm lucky. For example, have you ever woken up in the night? Maybe it's 2 a.m. and you go to do what, maybe it's the bathroom, and you turn on the light and then you had trouble getting to sleep. Well, there's a good reason for it, because those receptors, the receptors in the bottom of the retina are different than the ones in the top. Okay. And everything visually is connected with your circadian system. In other words, your sleep cycle. Getting up and going to do something in the night, well, that's sometimes necessary. Turning on a light at night can be really bad for sleep cycle, because once the light comes in, now keep this in mind that the sun is above us. Okay, might be over there, but it's never below us. Well, it might be, but we can't see through the earth. So it's above us somewhere. When the light comes in, it shines in like this. Those bottom receptors, when you wake up in the morning, I'll circle back around into the importance of keeping lights off at night. Um, there's still a lot of research on blue light and all that stuff. A lot of labs say it's just irrelevant. Seeing your phone just before you go to sleep. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. What I'll say is this, though. One thing we know for sure is that when you get up in the morning, now some people just have to get up earlier than the sun comes up. So be it. If that's the case, then that's the case. But
That's me.
whether that's the case or not, one of the best things you can do to begin the regulation of your sleep cycle starts in the morning. And it starts by, even if you're up before the sun, once the sun is up, there is daylight, even if it's dawn. Go outside if possible and just look around, look at nature. If you're in the city, look up, look at the sky. Don't look directly at the sun, of course, but just look, because that intake from your receptors on the lower portion of your retina is going to set your system for the cortisol that it needs to start up your day. Okay, well, this starts a cycle of being awake for, for most people, anywhere 14 to 16, 17 hours. So at night, the last thing what you want to be doing at night, not the last thing, at night, because this is going to vary throughout the year, and it depends on where you are on the planet too. North Pole, they have almost 24 hours of daylight and 24 hours of night, depending upon what season it is. So bottom line is, though, at the last, or close to the last, let's say within an hour or so of the last bit of daylight, you want to get outside and look at that. Okay, you're not going to have that same direct thing coming in probably as intensely in morning, but what it does is this starts the melatonin cycle. Melatonin is something that will help you sleep. So when we get up in the morning, you want to take a look at outside, preferably outside, not through a window. If you have to do it through a window, according to Dr. Huberman, you can do that, but outside is better. Same thing at night. Outside, you might be awake for 3-4 more hours after that, but that exposure to light, natural light is going to start the melatonin cycle, and this will help you to sleep. Now, if you do this every day and see how it works, oh, I love it, going outside in the morning. And, if it's 2 degrees outside, I don't care. It's beautiful. I can be out there for 2 minutes. If you're in a city, you want to find a way somehow to be able to look at the horizon. Maybe you can't. So just look as far as you can. If you can go up to the top of the building and look and see a couple miles away, well, good. That's good for your vision. It's good for your brain. It's good for your eyesight. Do you know that your eyes actually are the brain, in particular the optic nerve and the retina, because in embryonic development, these sockets aren't there early on, and the eyes are in the brain. But because the brain grows, the skull grows, the baby grows, the embryo grows, eventually there's not enough room for the eyeballs, and the sockets start to develop, and then they're pushed out. They are brain. They're not just attached to it. It's something I learned last August. I didn't know that. I knew they were attached. I didn't know they are brain. Okay, so just real quick, if you have sleep problems, try this. Exposure to natural light first thing in the morning when it's available to be seen, and just before the sun goes. It could be an hour before sundown, could be almost at sundown, but natural light at night. Try it and see what happens. But I have one more thing to add on this. It's very, very interesting. I always used to wonder, why is it that if I do feel compelled to check my phone, which is over on another thing, when I go to the bathroom, I think I might bring my phone, lay down in bed, and I look. Now, I'm looking like this, okay? I'm looking like, if you can see, I'm like this. Now the light from the phone is shining up. Okay, so if it's shining up into top of the retina and those receptors, they're not designed to handle bright light, which explains for years why when I'm on the couch or I'm laying on the floor or I'm laying in a bed and I'm like this and the light's shining up, that I can't focus. Well, I can focus, but it's too bright and it hurts. So I have to get on top of the phone and look. And now I'm looking down. I'm looking different, and it's coming down into I'm not doing the positions well here. Whenever you're doing something with light, you want to make sure, to the best of your ability, the light's going to come in from above or not below, because it's hard to see when you're shining something like that. For a lot of people, for me, just interesting stuff. I'm not articulating that portion of this today as best as I want to.
I just want to add to what add to that a little bit. I'm a big proponent of taking something, an action that you do, and leveraging it in multiple ways. So that thing of stepping outside in the daylight is also a very good thing for your mood, a positive thing if you approach it that way. So the way I always approach it is,
I always view the sunrise as, this is the dawn of a new day, fresh start, that kind of thing. So it's also, I find, that makes the experience enjoyable too. I'm stepping outside, the new day is starting, and it makes for a positive experience, gets you going, get your day going in a positive way.
Absolutely. The other thing too, in fact, my wife was saying today she just feels like she has jet lag. Well, you can have jet lag without flying, because jet lag is just a term. It's just lag, right? So you can become lagged by a lack of sleep, an irregular sleep cycle. She's working every other day now, doing 12-hour shifts, getting up at 5
Oh yeah.
on the work days, working 12 hours, 7 to 7, coming home, being exhausted, but loving what she does. Then she gets up 7:30 on the days off. That right there is causing some issues of lag. So, one of the ways to get over lag or to help diminish it is do what I just said about get outside in the morning. So she's running out. She gets to work before the sun is up, and she'll take a second and go outside and just look. Same thing. Try to get outside at night before she leaves work, because right now it's dark when she leaves. Seems to be helping a little bit. So, anyways, let's move on. I mean, I could go on for a whole hour about vision stuff, and we have other things to talk about. So, just so you know that we have a lot of episodes coming up. You can suggest topics to us. You can suggest more detail. I also have resources. I have resources I'm happy to send out for just give it away, because honestly, I've never been driven by money. We do have an institute, but I'm not going to talk about that today. With more stuff. So, Russ, tell me more about the vision stuff you were thinking of demonstrating, and what have you been doing with this?
Oh, well, I was thinking of demonstrating our infamous infinity walk.
Yeah.
What have I been doing with it? I'm trying to be mindful. One of the main things I'm trying to do is being mindful of keeping my head up, and I practice that especially a lot when I'm off. Because when your medication goes off and you're not moving well, you tend to get a little nervous, and that makes you look down at your feet. So it's difficult. It's difficult sometimes to concentrate when you're having trouble. You're having trouble moving and being stable and everything. So, but I like to practice a lot, just sitting around sometimes, moving my head from side to side and trying to expand my field of vision. When I'm moving, try to do the same thing, look straight ahead. Another thing I want to start practicing more is balancing with my eyes closed. And obviously, when you do that, it's a good idea to have something nearby, like a chair, to hold on to, because that could be dangerous. But that's an example of, that's not vision training. You're not actually using your vision, because you're taking away your vision. But that's a good it's a good practice where it kind of adds a little bit of it adds challenge, because vision is part of your proprioception. Now you've taken it away. So now it's also a mindfulness thing. So now your vision is taken away, your eyes are closed. So now you're focusing more. This is good for body awareness. You're focusing more on what is my body doing to stay balanced. And you'll be, if you do that and you close your eyes and feel your body, kind of destabilizing and trying to keep it stable, you'll realize that your level of awareness has been raised more than just balancing on one foot with your eyes open. So that's an interesting exercise with your eyes closed. Like I said, you want to be careful, because it can make you pretty unstable closing your eyes. But it's a good thing to practice.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting when you take away one sense, like vision, especially. I realize, actually, when I had my cornea transplant last year, and then the other eye started getting weird, and now they're both fine, but realized how visual of a person I am, because I couldn't drive. I had somebody driving me around to see clients for about a month. But wow, man, that really changed things too, is just losing some vision. So you know, when we do these things visually, whatever it is, even if it's just that sleep cycle thing, we're also setting up the brain, and we're creating brain activity, right? Remember, the brain has it's like our human pharmacy. It has what we need most of the time if we can figure out how to generate it. You can generate your cortisol, which is actually not always a bad thing, like people always say it is. It's just bad to have too much of it. When you look at light in the morning, get some energy, get you going, get you set up for that 14 to 17 hour awake cycle, and then nighttime exposure to natural light starts the melatonin cycle that'll help you go to sleep. So just a side note on melatonin, there's also research shows that taking melatonin on a regular basis especially can inhibit sexual function and also be bad for people going through developmental years, especially puberty. It can cause a lot of problems in development there. So just a side note. If you
You
ever
said
want to
taking melatonin will do that?
take it, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, at my age 60, it doesn't really matter about developing, but I mean, sexual function would be for some people that's naturally important. I mean, you know, so you if that's something you want to just be mindful of, and maybe it won't have an impact, but just to know that it could, and it oftentimes does. Um, yeah, so we're creating brain activity with all these visual things. Vestibular and visual are tied in together so closely. You know, that inner ear and the visual system, they're all part of the brain. So, Russ, vestibular wise, you know, I like that thing that we do that I learned from Dr. Perry Nicholson, our friend, the infinity walk. And actually, I have a book written by the lady who kind of developed that. Deborah Sunbeck, must be downstairs. It's called Infinity Walk. It's out of print
Okay,
now, but it's a
you keep
great book.
talking, I'll set it up, okay?
Okay. Yeah, so this, what happens is, and Russ will demonstrate, the Infinity Walk is a way to practice movement. So you're going to walk a figure 8 pattern. You'll see Russ do this. But while you're walking this, you can start with just a figure 8 to get the feel of it. But then you're going to want to add an object off to the side between the two, let's say, turning points, or maybe you have cones or dots or something that you're walking around in the figure 8. And then when you stay focused on this object, what happens is your head has to turn and your eyes have to track while you're moving. And so now you have focused movement. And while you're focusing, you're activating vestibular system and visual system at the same time. Now, that in and of itself is a great exercise to create brain activity, to train and develop, let's say, just better movement, better balance. Because when our visual and our vestibular is simultaneously activated together, it can do a lot of different things, as the book says, in helping to diminish certain symptoms that might not be so good. Like maybe if you have I should probably more comment on this later. I have very foggy memory lately because of the post-COVID long hauler blues, but whatever. Forging ahead. And visual is important to train and keep that activated. When you do it together, is optimal. And then, you know, you throw on a cognitive exercise too on top of it, so you're thinking, tracking, moving, and vestibulating. So Russ is setting up the okay, yeah, you want to show us? In fact, I'm gonna make
So
this,
I have,
I'm gonna go to this big screen so that
try
you
to
can
use a
see
color that would show up
the-
with these yellow agility dots. And
Mhm.
it's just to the edge of the screen, the visual field. So you have two dots. These are about 6 feet apart or so. You just want to set this up so when you're tracking with your eyes, you're creating a little bit of a challenge. So just adjust the distance accordingly. So I have two dots that I'm going to be doing. There's one here and one over there. I'm going to be walking a figure 8. Over here I have a kettlebell on the floor. Just a little tip. We would do this with 3 dots. But I found that a couple of people I've done this with, a couple of clients, cognitively, they had an issue with the 3 dots being out there because it was confusing. Because what the instructions are is between these 2 yellow dots, I'm going to be walking a figure 8. Then the 3rd spot out off this way, you're supposed to track with your eyes. The problem was when it was a 3rd agility dot, sometimes some of my clients would get confused and they'd start walking towards the other dot, thinking they had to, that was part of the walking path. So in this case, I have a different object to look at. It's the kettlebell. It could be anything.
Hey, Russ, do you have a light you might be able to turn on that would
What's that?
Can you possibly make it a little bit more, a
Yeah,
little brighter?
the backlight is, hold on. How about if I move? I think the problem is it's so bright out there.
Oh, that's better.
The angle.
Yeah, thanks, Kathy.
The top of my body is going to be cut off, but that's fine. You just need to see my feet. It's better?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm just going to be walking a figure 8 around the dots, and at the same time looking at the kettlebell the whole time, concentrating. And then this just works the vestibular system, which is related to balance and your inner ear and your vision. It's all tied in. Just keep tracking it. I think these dots need to be further apart.
Yeah, ideally.
The further apart they are, the more I'm going to be looking back
at
the, it's going to be a little bit more challenging. So I'm looking, keeping my eye on it the whole time. And this kind of movement too in the figure 8 is good where, I'm kind of crossing my midline a little bit, not doing a straight walking pattern. That could challenge somebody's balance as well. So that's basically all that's all it is, all that is.
So what you're doing there is you're looking at the kettlebell while you're doing this walk, because we couldn't see your head, but I just want to make sure people realize that the goal is to might walk figure 8 a few times, just that, and then start to look at the kettlebell, and keeping your eyes focused on it causes your head to turn. That's vestibular activation. Eyes to track.
Now just my head's in it, but it's.
Yep.
The lighting isn't great though.
That's okay.
I gotta purchase some special lights because I just have like my chandelier light in the dining room.
I can send you a link to the softbox lights I got last month. They're really great and inexpensive, like $75 or something. So anyways, yeah, that is a great exercise. So of course we can add a cognitive task to it. Maybe I ask Russ, what are your favorite movies and who's in the movies, or count backwards or forwards from, up by 7s from 0, and then maybe stop at a certain number and go backwards by 3s, or tell me how to get from where he is to his favorite restaurant or to Stony Brook College or whatever, because there's all kinds of things we can stack onto this cognitively. And actually, another thing I've been doing, which this means you're not going to be tracking your eyes on the kettlebell, but I'll play catch with somebody, but I run around them when I'm doing it. So they're turning their head even more differently, and eyes are tracking even more differently while we play catch, and I'm kind of running around them. It's just fun. So you can get creative.
Yeah.
Get creative. Create that as much stimulation as you can, take on as much load as you can, challenge yourself, don't kill yourself.
Yeah, I had after the lockdown kicked in, I had one client that I went to his house and did some exercise with him around his house, and we'd go for a walk around the neighborhood, and I'd bring a ball with me, and as we were walking, we'd toss the ball back and forth just to add a little bit more challenge. And and what's also very good for your vestibular system is just, and we talked about this a couple episodes ago when we referenced Gavin, who does it a lot, is sports movements, because you take basketball shots and you follow up your rebounds. You have to track the ball and get the ball. You have to focus on you have to focus your eyes on your target, all those things. Throwing a ball against the wall and catching it. I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but I wouldn't hurt to repeat it again.
Yeah, man, I love that one.
There's going to be some people who heard it before, but there's going to be people who haven't.
This is a good one.
Catching a ball. This is a trick from the people at Z Health, which is a great organization.
Mm-hmm.
You just look at zhealtheducation.com. But they do a lot of stuff with the vestibular system and vision. And this is a trick. I've got different letters written on the tennis ball here. This is a trick to help you track a ball and be able to catch it. Some people have problems throwing a ball off the wall and catching it. So what you do is you throw the ball against the wall, and as it's coming, you keep your eye on the ball. And as it's coming towards your hand, as soon as you can see a letter, you call it out. So the ball's coming back at T. Even if I say the letter, even if it's delayed, the act of having to track the ball and having to recite the letter as soon as possible is just going to make me focus more on that skill of keeping your eye on the ball. Without that, some people have problems concentrating. They'll take their eyes away at like the last second, and they won't see it go into their hand. So that's a good trick.
That's a great one. I love that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have lots of cool stuff there at Z Health, and they have lots of studies some more, but they have some more eye tracking ones. There was the one that Deanna taught us where I think you looked at two different pieces of paper or two columns,
Mm-hmm.
and your eye went diagonally back and forth.
Yeah, that's a really good. I have that downstairs, but I'm not going to get it. I'll show it. I'll post it in the group along with a video I did for a little education on that. That's one of the things we'll do for a visual reset.
Yeah. Then there's other things we could do to reset the vestibular system that don't look so much like eye tracking kind of things, like the rolls that we do, doing the rolling on the floor.
Oh, absolutely. The egg roll, the barbecue roll.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say barbecue? The barbecue roll.
When you do an egg roll is when you're lying on your back and your feet are kind of in tabletop position. How are your eyes supposed to go?
So the way Allison Klom, who's one of our amazing instructors, God, I haven't seen her in forever, COVID. But anyways, you lay on your back, pull your knees back towards your chest, hold your knees. I have a video on this too. I can post in the group.
Yeah, I could get down.
So then what you do is you'll
turn the volume up. You can cue me through it.
Okay. So Russ is going to
join in.
Yeah, join in if you want to, folks. So Russ is going to lay on his back and then bring his knees back towards his chest and then put his hands on his knees. Just hold his knees back like that. Now, the way that we've been instructed to do this for maximum effectiveness is, let's say you first don't turn your head, but look to the right with your eyes.
Okay.
Then turn your head to the right. And then allow your body to follow and just roll onto your right side.
And where do I put my hands at my side or still hold them on?
Still hold on to your knees. I mean, you could probably do something else, but yeah. Now, you turn your eyes to the left, followed by turning the head to the left.
Oops, I turned my head first. Okay, turn my eyes and then my head.
Yeah, eyes track to the left. Then turn the head left. And then bring your body back to starting position. Now, you would do this going the other way too. So eyes left, turn the head left, roll left. So this
I keep moving my head first. I got to remember my eyes first. I'm trying to do it slow too.
Now when I first saw this, I thought, well, this just looks goofy. So now your eyes look right, then turn the head right. But you know what? I remember when Allison was here in Syracuse, she taught this because I didn't know it yet. I knew the barbecue roll, and you just keep doing that back and forth so you can pick up the pace. you don't want to be racing through this. But when we do the visual reset or the visual assessment, which is a pencil push-up, so basically you're taking a pencil and you're doing this and you're watching their eyes. Watch my eyes. Okay, so I'm going to try to keep the pencil. I'm going to try to keep it as one, and this will all tie in together to what we just did with Russ. So another person would administer this to me, but it would be like this. Now I'm going to keep this one, and you can look at my eyes and see if one is tracking in better than the other. Okay, at this point, I see two pencils, so I'm backing off. Come back out slow. So I had no idea. I couldn't see what I was doing because I was looking at this. I have a feeling my left eye might have tracked in better.
Yes.
It did? Okay. Because I
Yep.
have a right side prosthetic implant for a cornea. But
A
I see.
little bit better. Yeah. Yep.
So now what will happen is we'll go over to that chart, which I can post in the group, cover one eye, and then go back and forth, just focusing on the letters, maybe top to bottom, 3, 4, 5 times. Same thing on the other. I'll post the instructional video in there too, because this is a very, very, very abbreviated version. When we do that and then administer the push-up again, almost all the time you'll see that both eyes, or well, let's say that eye that wasn't tracking as well, tracks better. But what's even better is that how does this affect daily activities, activities of daily living? Well, when I played catch with a ball, we did like 20 reps. Actually, I did this. I put a piece of rock tape on a wall and we just picked a random number, 20. When I throw the ball, my goal is to hit the target with the hit the rock tape. Every time I hit the rock tape, anywhere on the tape, just a little square of it, it counts. If I don't hit it, it doesn't count. So what happened is I got like 8 out of 20 prior to the assessment, prior to the visual reset. When I went back and did it, and this was down in DC with Deanna Cordoba, who taught this to us. You were with me. Allison was there too, I think, wasn't she? And Russ. Yeah. So we're down there and I got 17 out of 20 after the visual reset, plus carried over. The next day I'm back in town in Syracuse playing catch with a client. He always catches the ball. I always miss the ball. I catch the ball like 90% of the time. So basically what happened is it improved my tracking and allowed me to have better hand-eye coordination. That was the pencil push-up. Just as doesn't actually even mean anything. You could just do this thing. You could just do this and probably realize some benefits, but you have something to focus on, even if it's just 2 dots back and forth, back and forth. There's a visual reset that happens. It's good for the eye muscles, and you'll probably improve your hand-eye coordination, and your flexibility may improve, especially when you do the egg roll. And it's very interesting when we had people bend over to touch their toes with locked knees prior to egg roll versus post egg roll, and how much further down they could go. So, all this stuff is so interesting because everything's connected to everything else. When one thing isn't functioning optimally, the rest of your systems are not either. And so these little tiny things we can do that take like a minute or two, they can help us a lot in many ways that we can't even imagine, to have a better day, to move better, maybe even just feel better. That's cool stuff, man. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, vestibular and all that and vision is all tied into balance. And, we would just like to encourage people to keep an open mind, think outside the box. I'm especially, addressing the people with Parkinson's in that, yes, we understand that, instability, loss of balance, and bradykinesia, and all the different Parkinson's symptoms may be, in your mind, the cause of the problem, but the solution should be an open book. If something is known to help a certain thing, but it may not necessarily be tied to Parkinson's disease, there's no reason for you to not try it and include it if it's going to help you move. The key is to move better. Parkinson's is a movement disorder. If you have those movement symptoms, which everybody seems to have some sort of motor problem. So think of it in that terms. You're just trying to move better. yeah, there are specific things that, address Parkinson's, especially, lack of dopamine, which is really how the disease is, most commonly defined. So, I'm just bringing up that point. Try everything that helps movement.
Yeah, I think that's really important too, because not everyone is going to do corrective exercise, for example. Well, I might be one of those people who doesn't do it as much as I probably should. Do I know if it works or not? Yeah, I know it works if you do it right. We're going to talk about that next time, using this as a segue opportunity, which doesn't mean we have to switch totally over yet. But even if we do the silly egg roll, or just the visual reset or whatever, I mean, those little things can really help. Actually, Huberman is also talking, and we talked about it on Monday, that if you just do this with your eyes, lateral, not up and down, lateral, this can actually help with things like reducing anxiety. Maybe you're anxious about something coming up, and maybe it's a doctor appointment, and you're sitting in the parking lot and you need to go in and you're nervous. Try it. It might seem really silly. Do 30 seconds of this silly lateral eye movement thing and see if your anxiety lessens. Vestibular. I see what Kathy wrote here. Head.
Yeah, comment,
okay. Yeah. Look at that. In fact, what's really weird is, and I wrote, this book last year. What's funny is that Word and even all the other entities out there that have spell check, they don't recognize the word vestibular as an actual word, but it is. So yeah, Google it, look it up, find out about it. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. It can mess you up and it can make you feel great too. So this,
it's basically, I mean, but the point Kathy's bringing is that we're not mentioning what it actually is. So I mean, just real quickly, is that
yeah, I'm sorry.
It's it's a system related to the inner ear that that generally helps your sense of balance.
And I'm really sorry, man. I'm using this as an excuse because it's a valid one, although I hate excuses, but I'm not thinking clearly in certain ways. And that I never thought of mentioning what it is. I just figure everybody knows, I guess, which I didn't know what it was a few years ago. So I apologize for that.
It's just a sensory system, and it's tied into spatial orientation and
balance.
Helps coordinate movement, and it's tied into your inner ear, and also your exercises that you use with your eyes also help contribute to improving it.
Yeah, what I was thinking is that try things, experiment, and then do the things that you will do. Because if you won't do stuff, then there's no sense doing it. If you're not going to do it, you won't do it. So find things you will do, if that makes any sense at all. So another thing that we know about society in general, and I'm one of them, I tend to have, of course, really it kind of comes to this sometimes, is this text net. You're looking down and you're texting, or you're at a computer, a laptop, and it's on your lap on the couch, or you're at a desk and you're looking down and you're hunched forward. Posture. So in people with Parkinson's, typically, and other movement disorders as well, and just in society in general, posture is generally less than optimal. And we know that when we have optimal postures, we will move better. We should move better biomechanically. Certainly, we're going to have more opportunity to move better. So we are just going to begin a little thing of talking about what is referred to as corrective exercise. It's another tool in the toolbox. Even if you just start with one of these of the four, when you get release, stretch, and all the and inhibit, and I have Russ take it through that because I can't remember. Yeah,
inhibit, lengthen.
Yeah.
Well, same thing, but
even that couldn't be a really good start to something, even if you don't do Leona Brown is sitting cross-legged on the floor. God bless you. I'm gonna get to that. That's a goal I have. That, and I know it's silly, tap dancing, because I have that new hip last year. I'm more flexible and no pain. Tap dancing and sit. I want to be able to sit on the floor comfortably. Good. That's great, Leona. So, do you want to take us through? I have objects to show. We both have things we can show, tools to use to, let's say, inhibit some of those knots in the fascia. That outer layer around your muscles is the ectoskeleton of the muscular structure. So, we have release tools that we can show. But Russ, I'm probably jumping ahead here. Do you mind taking over for a minute?
Just a quick overview of basically what corrective exercise is first.
Yeah.
Well, basically, corrective exercise is it's a methodology of assessing movement and posture and muscle balance and implementing corrective strategies to fix them. And part of those are releasing and stretching overly tight muscles, and those muscles tight for various reasons, and then strengthening or activating your underactive muscles. And particular conditions lend themselves to making certain muscles overactive and certain muscles underactive, you know, like a forward posture, as in what people with Parkinson sometimes get. For instance, a lot of your posterior muscles are weak, and your anterior muscles, which is anterior, just the front, are overactive, so that's pulling you forward. So there's corrective techniques you do with strengthening and activating and releasing overactive muscles. Sometimes it's not obvious, then that's why you need to do an assessment, and you just need a little knowledge about what could happen as well. For instance, one example I'll give is somebody whose hamstrings are tight all the time. So what do you do for tight hamstrings? What's the most common thing people do is they stretch the hamstrings. Well, if you're stretching your hamstrings and you've been stretching, they keep getting tight, and you've been stretching your hamstrings for 3 years, you've been living with a muscle imbalance condition. It's, you know, there's usually a reason why, you know, something is tight all the time. So if you could get to the bottom of that and then fix it, so you don't feel like you have to stretch it all the time, then you'll be moving better and less likely. Another component of corrective exercise is it helps reduce pain because it helps you move better, and also helps prevent injury or re-injury. And what it isn't is, at least from a perspective of a personal trainer, it's not like physical therapy. So if you come to us and say, I'm in an injured state, that's outside of our scope of practice. That's physical therapist. You know, physical therapist is going to help you rehab from torn muscles, post-surgery, all that. And then when you've gone through your rehab, you could come to a trainer and they could continue with your exercise. Or sometimes corrective exercise is called prehab. It's exercise that a person can do who's in a relatively healthy state, or can move through the exercises, and it's called prehab because it helps prevent injuries, or it helps you rehabilitate better. Like if you work out before, you're going to have surgery or something like that, it might help.
I did that.
Increase your recovery quicker.
Jump in for a second. I'm very proud of myself. So I really started in with my prehab before the hip surgery about 3 months. Very diligent. It was funny, a month after the surgery, I saw the 1 month checkup, I saw the surgeon. And I kind of know him. He says, Karl, I remember your surgery. You were the first one of the day. He said, I didn't have to cut through. He said, all I cut through was muscle. I said, you had a lot of muscle built up. What did you do? I said, well, I'm in the movement business, so I did a lot of prehab because I want to recover fast. And it does. It helped me. I was back to work in 3 weeks, still in pain, but I mean, different kind of pain than I had before. So I'm helping people now, a couple of people with prehab for knee surgery, which is usually more painful and difficult than hip, but outcomes are usually great. So yeah, prehab can help you in get ready for a surgery or just for an event. right? It's kind of almost another word for training, I suppose, right? Laura's here. Hey, Laura, what's up? I just sent you a note. I'm sorry I've been silent recently. I just been struggling with energy and focus, but
And then another component, one last component of all this is integrating all the movements. So now you've done things to correct some deficits. So now you want to integrated movement is multi-joint movement, you know, getting up from the floor, whatever it is, using multiple muscles. And to Karl's point about like the prehab, movement is integrated, you know, with your core and your legs and your torso and all sorts of things. So if you work other muscles that integrate with, you know, your hip or your knee, whatever you're having operated on, if they cut through that muscle in the knee and the hip, you know, even if you did prehab on it, there's parts of that muscle that prehab is not going to help because they just cut it, you know. So, but all the other exercises you do, if you do like a good full body workout, all those other exercises are going to help you integrate and move better anyway. So it still helps.
absolutely. Absolutely. So when it comes to, let's start at the beginning. First of all, you want to release the muscles that are supposed to be released for you. And this is going to be based on assessments. We're not going to get into that today because we don't have time, but it's something we can talk about maybe a little bit each episode or something. I can also post, I have a really, really nice assessment video I can post in the group, the Neuro Bros Show group on Facebook. If you're not in it, request to join, I'll let you in. And it's a really nice thing. But for example, maybe your lateral gastrocnemius, or let's say your calf.
Right.
Okay. And that would be the outer calf, if you will. That's not proper terminology because you have medial, which is towards the midline of the body, and then outer. That's a muscle that oftentimes is, especially if you're wearing high heels or boots where you're elevated a lot. If that is, I mean, we could start lower and go to the feet. If your feet flatten, then you're probably going to have feet turn out, and then knees bow in, calves are tight, vatus lateralis is tight. Let's just take the calf as an example. Well, you could get on this is a 36-inch, very popular size. And the density is, you know, fairly dense, but it's not super hard, but it's not like the melt method roller, which, by the way, melt method we'll talk about in another episode. I'm a big proponent of it, but not necessarily for corrective exercise. It'd be more
Can you see
for
me okay, or should I move it down a little bit more?
Actually, it's very dark. I can't see you.
Yeah, I think last time I moved this down like.
Yeah, I think your lens just wants to focus on something. That's better. Now he's got that fuller. There's another one too I have here. I really like this one. It's a little 12-inch, 4-inch diameter versus maybe a 6-inch on the other, I think. So this,
Better, right?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
I'll post some corrective exercise stuff in the group too. It won't be till later today though, folks. And if you don't see it by tonight, please send me a text or an inbox and remind me, because I forget stuff a lot lately. So yeah, so Russ, if you're going to release your calf.
Hold on, let me get I'll let you speak to the multiple tools, so I'll get other things too.
Oh, good. Yes, so size matters, folks.
Surface area.
In certain cases, size matters, and sometimes smaller is better. It depends upon what you're dealing with. Like this roller is smaller than the other one. It means it's going to get a little deeper into the tissue. Still not a super dense material, but you could go into a PVC pipe as a roller, maybe a 4-inch PVC. That's going to be very dense, and it'll get deeper into the fascia. We also have, Russ has the hypersphere ball. You can get the trigger point or other same size 5.5-inch diameter ball, or 5-inch, that is not a vibrating thing. You can get a lacrosse ball, which is even smaller. So the smaller it is, the deeper into the tissue it's going to get to help work out that fascial tension. And then I have Rock Tapes. I'm very generous. They've sent me things now and then to try. They just sent me a couple boxes of these. I'm going to send you some, Russ. This is another ball. I guess this is, I don't know how big, but this one is also has a texture on it. Russ has the vibrating ball, and we know that vibration can help increase release of fascial tension up to 40%. So I'm having trouble seeing you, Russ. I'm really sorry, but
All right, folks.
we're going to go through this.
This was better the other day because it was the sun coming in the natural light, sun coming from that side.
Yeah.
Was working better. I'm trying to figure out where.
You know what it is?
This camera in back of the light.
Right now, it's good still. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? That's all right. Go with that, and maybe if you move a little closer to the camera. I can see you. It's dark, but I can see you.
Okay.
And just know, folks, that I have stuff I can put up in the group, and I'll put it up tonight. If you don't hear from me, or remind me.
So by the way, you spoke about the ankle. The calf is going to affect how well you could flex your ankle. If your calf is overactive, the calf is what makes you raise up on your toes. So if it's too tight, you won't be able to dorsiflex your ankle, which is this way. Your ankle coming up, your toes coming up towards your knee. So by releasing the calf muscle, that'll help that. A lot of times with the calf, the foam roller is a little bit too big and soft because it's a smaller muscle.
Yeah.
So that's why Karl was talking about using a smaller ball. I'm going to do use a hypersphere ball, which has vibration. I'm not going to turn the vibration on, but just put my calf right on top of it. And if you're using something too wide, sometimes you have to cross your legs and push yourself up off the ground to get enough pressure. But if you're using something smaller, you don't necessarily have to do that. You just put it right on your calf. Yeah. And then you go between the two joints. So on your calf, that's between your ankle and your knee, and you move up and down. But what you want to do is you stop at a point where you feel pain, and you want to hold on that spot. Some people do with the foam rollers, they just keep rolling back and forth. Basically, that's just like a massage. It feels good. But this will help release what are called trigger points, which are basically knots. And when you get on that spot, you want to hold it for anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute and a half. And you could enhance the muscle release by flexing. You see my ankle moving back and forth?
Yeah, I barely see it, but I see it. Yeah. So he's dorsiflexing, folks. I mean,
and
top of the foot coming towards his head to help to move the fascia. That flexion helps to move the fascia over the roller. It kind of it's a dynamic. Actually, that's a dynamic release.
Right. Active
and it can be quite. So there are. By the way, I have to interject this. There are three really important things. If it numbs, tingles, or pulses, you got to get off it. If it numbs or tingles, you're on a nerve. If it's pulsing, you're on a blood supply. And you don't want to have pain for the sake of pain. You want to have, discomfort is normal. So don't expect to be comfortable, but, be mindful. If it's too much, then back off. Yeah. Thank you, Charles. Yes, we'll work on this for the next time, the brightness. We'll get that fixed. So
yeah, we'll get the lighting. Sorry.
Yeah, and again, you could go to
just move this back a little more.
Yeah, it's like once you get an extra 6 inches away, the camera all of a sudden doesn't want to focus on you anymore. Okay. So I know how it is too. So no problem. We're new at this, so we're learning and we're discovering.
We explain the concepts. I think maybe visually we'll just run through it again next time.
Perfect. Yeah, so we'll wrap it up here in a couple of minutes, but we've had a nice turnout today, Leona, Charles, Kathy, Laura. We have some others. Sylvia Gabriela, ¿Cómo está mi amiga? In Mexico, Monterrey, Barbara. Appreciate everybody watching. Oh man, we could jump on and talk for 12 hours a day, 5 days in a row. We'd never cover it all. But, and Leona says she'd be happy to be a guinea pig. Hey, you know, maybe we'll have a guinea pig on one of these. Thank you, Leona. Because, you know, going through and actually doing this stuff is where you learn it the best. So, any words of wisdom, Russ? Any thoughts?
Well, just
on anything at all?
Just to review what we just did with the calves. So one of the reasons why having the good capability to dorsiflex your ankle is, for instance, for a person with Parkinson's, if you're, to exaggerate, somebody who can't dorsiflex well would be like somebody like walking on their toes,
Mm-hmm.
So you really need to get that good flexion. So you could, as you walk, as your foot lifts off the ground, you flex the ankle and then you come down and then you point your toe and you don't push off and point it until with that trailing leg, that's where you're really pushing off with your toes. So if you don't have that capability, you'll start compensating. So what sometimes people do is if they can't flex that ankle, you'll see somebody who's got like one of these walks where they're kind of like swinging their leg, whipping it around to the side, just to make up for the fact that they can't get their toes flexed and their ankle flexed enough to in time to
they walk. It's called I learned from Dr. Emily when I was teaching for her, it's called the adductory snap. Adduction together, abduction is taking away or kidnapping, right? So the adductory snap, I actually had that on one side for quite a while. It's diminished now a lot because I went through the regular corrective stuff to fix it. So the other thing too is when you talk about rigidity, it's natural tendency for humans in general is to go forward into a flex forward position for protection. Basically, it's a built-in protective mechanism. We don't have to think about it. Our bodies will just do it. But now, and with all the tools we have that we can flex forward, in our lifestyles, I'm just generally speaking, I'm on the computer a lot, doing stuff, and I have to consciously make the effort to do a lot of posterior activation and release the front side so that I can maintain a decent posture, because I'm really few things bug me more than when I see a video of myself somebody took and they post it and I have bad posture. It's like, oh no. But if we have rigidity to go along with that, well, that brings in more complications, hence maybe even being more important because you're at a higher risk of falling with Parkinson's. That's our number one concern, is really working to improve posture. It's so important. So corrective exercise is one of the tools. We have a bunch of other tricks up our sleeve, folks, right up there. Monday. You good for Monday, Russ, at 10?
Believe so. I'll let you know if I'm not.
Okay, yeah.
Checking my calendar.
We're going to plan on, I'm sorry, we never really talked about particular days, but you're good for that?
Yes.
Okay, 10 a.m. Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday, episode 5. What I'll start doing is I'll start announcing, let's say, the 2 primary topics that we'll talk about after Russ and I figure out what makes the most logical sense to do. In the meantime, the only words of advice I can say in general, and I fight this on a daily basis, is keep moving and keep thinking. Keep challenging your brain with things. Learn, read, do stuff that makes you think, either with somebody or on your own. But more than anything, keep moving. Because Russ said it so beautifully last week, an object that stays at rest tends to stay at rest. Well, that'd be me on my couch. An object that's moving tends to stay in motion, And I love how you said that, man. It made me think. So when I get off the couch and get moving, I tend to keep moving because I get the energy to move once I move. Otherwise, I sit on the couch. I'm guilty, but I'm going to get moving now and go get blood work and then walk around the university 2-3 miles on the big hills. We have some huge hills up at SU, and I can't wait because I need to be moving and burning off some of this extra weight I gained.
You know, when we were talking about, making things complicated. So I was thinking of, that song, Get Up, Get Funky, Get Loose. Get up, get up, get down, get funky, get loose, or something like that.
I think I do.
But I was thinking that, we talk about like a lot of different ways, that a lot of different types of exercise you could do for Parkinson's. But I was thinking of get up, get down, get back up again, and strut your stuff.
I love
So
it, man.
what that means is 3 exercises you could do that are require no equipment in daily life is get up from a chair, get down on the ground, get back up again, and walk. Those 3 things are great exercises. And then if you want to add it, then they all involve your core and legs a lot. Getting up and down from the ground involves your arms as well. And then you get add maybe some pushing and pulling exercise to it. But that's a real simple way to improve your daily tasks of living, because those are daily tasks of living: getting up from a chair, getting up and down from a chair, getting up and down from the ground, and walking. So, a person who's just diagnosed with Parkinson's has no exercise experience, they could kind of do their research and ask people questions and learn. But in the meantime, they could do those things I just said. Everybody could walk, and if you could still walk well when you're diagnosed, keep it going.
Yeah, I'm going to show you a book. Dr. John Rady is the best-selling author of several books. He has a new one out I just got called ADHD 2.0, 25 years after the release of Driven to Distraction that he wrote. I interviewed him last year for my Extraordinary Experts series, and what a nice man. He says the human body was designed to move. We should just move. And I tend to overcomplicate everything in my life. Now, I hate gyms, okay? I don't like gyms. But if you like a gym, go to the gym. You have to do what you like. I just like to move. I like to do I actually get down on the floor and up often. I do the fall matrix. We'll go through that one of these times soon. But this book is a great book written by Dr. Rady. It's an easy read. It's entertaining, but it also talks about just moving and the benefits of movement. And it ain't rocket science, folks. It ain't rockets. I overcomplicate stuff. And thank you. I think it was Charles maybe who was thanks so much. This was great, really helpful info. I have not come across anywhere else. Thank you very, very much. Our goal is to reach and share with people. I always believe education is meant to be shared, not hoarded. And, especially in these times where people tend to be more sedentary, generally speaking, because of COVID and all that, movement's really important. And right after I got done talking with Dr. Rady, he sent me an email with an article about how great movement is for fighting COVID off. And then if you get it, dealing with it. And I've been moving a lot because I need this brain fog to go away. It was on GMA this morning with Gwyneth Paltrow and what she's doing, stay away from alcohol and excess sugar and eat a plant-based diet or go to keto. She's going back and forth between both, but exercise, even if it's just walking. Oh, I could talk for hours because I'm good at it, but I'll let you go. Plus, I got to get down there and get some blood work done. Okay. Check out the blood clotting situation. Stuart Heinrich is with us. Amazing guitar player. He and I love planes. The difference is he's a pilot. He flies the coolest planes. Jan Heller in Detroit is with us. You never met Jan, Russ, but Jan is awesome. She got us the best turnout in the United States for a Parkinson's workshop 3-4 years ago.
Awesome.
Biggest turnout ever. Best workshop. All right, gang, 10 a.m. Eastern time, Monday. We'll be back. We'll be back.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for attending.
Thanks, Russ.
Work on that lighting. If I have to, I'll just put a blanket over the back window there. That should do the trick. But the back lighting is what's throwing it off.
You and I can do some tests test stuff. Maybe on the weekend we'll get on Zoom and see how it looks.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, gang. Thanks, Russ. Thanks, everybody. And remember, if you don't see stuff posted in the group later tonight, send me a note because I have a lot of stuff I can put in there that's helpful. Okay. I might forget, but I'll try not to. Thanks. Have a great day, everyone.
Keep moving. Take
Later,
care.
Gators. Bye-bye.
Bye.